Hello, human peoples. You're listening to the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. To support us and gain access to great exclusive podcasts like Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and our latest show, Spiel Boys, head over to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We do game streaming, movie nights with our patrons every Friday night, and you can even commission your own podcast about anything you want. Literally anything, within reason, and we have to do it. You are quite frankly out of excuses not to go visit patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds. Only 7 more sleeps until Spooksmas.
Yeah. Merry, happy Spookstin.
Skeletinsmas? No, that's nothing.
They should have a name for this holiday.
They should.
That's what they need.
That's honestly, Bones Day? Dem Bones Day? No.
Dem Bones Day.
Yeah, anyway, hello everyone.
Hi! Hello, my name is David Bell.
My name is Tom Ryman.
And we just watched VHS
99!
Oh, yeah! Pre-9/11!
Yeah, 9/11 was just a distant twinkle in the nation's eye.
Yep.
And George W. Bush's eye.
Right, yes. Because he did it. He did 9/11.
Yeah, he's sitting there in 1999. It's like, yeah, enjoy it while you can, everybody.
Yeah.
2 years, I'm bringing them towers down.
Soak it up. Soak it up now. Okay. This is the latest VHS.
Tis.
It is 4 segments.
I think it's 5.
Yeah,
right?
it's the longest VHS, I would argue.
It is.
2 hours.
It's about 2 hours, yeah. And
the segments.
Yeah. Are you pulling it up?
In order.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are Shredding, followed by Suicide Bid, followed by Ozzy's Dungeon, followed by the Gawkers, which also happens to be the framing device.
Yes.
And then finally To Hell and Back. And, oh my goodness, Tom.
Yes.
This is going to be a hell of a thing.
It is.
Some of the directors, Flying Lotus, who I recognize the name of.
He's primarily like a musician and music producer.
Yeah.
He did Ozzy's
Ozzy's
Dungeon. Yeah, he did Ozzy's Dungeon.
The Gawkers is Taylor McIntyre, which that's the director of Tragedy Girls. If you haven't seen that, it's a very fun movie. And then, of course, very noted is Joseph and Vanessa Winter, the directors of Deadstream. Suicide Bid was also the director of the new Resident Evil.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. And then Shredding, I didn't recognize the name Maggie Levin, but she has done like a lot of shorts. So we're going to obviously go through these all one by one, I imagine, Tom.
Yeah.
But let's start with the question. How did you like VHS 99?
I thought it was okay.
Okay.
I thought it was okay. Like I still think it was a lot of fun beginning to end. I think some of the segments were too long.
It's a longer version. Yeah, there's some front loaded stuff that was like, come on, let's get to the thing.
Yeah. But like overall, I'll go better than okay. I liked it. I thought it was fun. It's not my favorite. 94 is still the best.
I love 94.
94 is so fucking good.
I will say, I think this is very solid.
This is pretty strong.
I don't think there's any misses. There's a couple where I'm like, that's not my favorite. But I think generally speaking, they really captured the point of VHS. I'm actually really glad they didn't do much for the framing device, because like, who gives a shit?
Right. It's basically just, it's all recorded on the same videotape, and that's really all we need. Yeah. I think that was my biggest gripe, or really the thing that's like making me hesitate to say that I loved this movie, because I really did have a lot of fun watching it. They don't really, like, none of the segments really justify them being the found footage format. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like, yes, there's no reason for any of these segments to be found footage. And so it feels like it's becoming sweatier and sweatier to explain. Like in the Suicide Bid, she just at the end just puts 4 different video cameras in the coffins with the girls.
And it's like, why?
For what purpose? Like,
I would say there's a little of that in 94. There's a little of that in all of them, but this, it definitely was obvious. This is my like hot take on this, is that this is what Viral should have been.
Yes.
Like, this is the better version of Viral. And Viral was very much a case of like, why is the camera there? I would say Ozzy's Dungeon is the biggest offender of why is the camera there? Because it's like, why are you videotaping any of this?
Well, I would think that one and, spoilers, the Medusa one, the Gawkers.
The Gawkers, yeah.
That
because they never...
Also doesn't make a lot of sense as to why they're filming all of this.
Here's my justification for the Gawkers, why that didn't rub me the wrong way as much. I have hours of videotapes that are like that.
Oh,
of
for
me
sure.
As a teenager.
Yeah, for sure.
Where it's just, you have a camera and you're like, I'm going to film fucking everything.
But me and my friends would film sketches.
Oh yeah, me and my friends would too.
It's hours and hours of
we'd
garbage.
We'd also just film ourselves like getting high, because it was like, we thought it was important.
Yeah, okay, we never did that. We would just film sketches, and like, we were filming Let's Plays back in 1999, like 1998. Nice. We literally did one where we just filmed us playing one of the N64 THQ wrestling games, like No Mercy or something like that, and it was just our commentary.
That's awesome,
because we thought our banter was so hilarious.
Right, that's part of why.
Yeah,
we would just film ourselves hanging out, because we thought what we were saying was like important.
Yeah, that's true. If I had a smoking hot neighbor who was always getting undressed in front of her window, we probably would have videotaped her. Yeah,
exactly, until she would deuce it out.
Right, we were 15, 14-year-old monsters. Yeah, of course you would.
Yeah, that was okay. So let's go through these, because shredding is the first one. And shredding, so all of these made me sad, not because of the quality or anything, but because there were a few moments where I was like, so this happened yesterday, right? This is all like,
yes,
new, like,
that was,
and then you realize like,
that was the hardest thing for me to reconcile, was like watching this, and especially with shredding, because it was like, I was in a punk band. I mean, so we both were hardcore in the punk scene in high school. So it's like, oh, this is just all my people. Like this, yeah, I remember I've had nights like this. That was like yesterday. And then I have to remember that 99 was 22 years ago, 23 years ago.
And there's a little like, are they making fun of our style? Like, is this like disco? You know, like, is it because the other realizations, the actors in it are all in their 20s. And it's like, fuck, man, weren't even like, they were barely alive.
They were barely infants. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all young people kind of making fun of old people. Like it's like watching a segment that takes place in the 70s for us.
Oh, that was,
and so, yeah,
that would actually,
me out.
That would actually kind of be my other gripe, is that this, outside of this first segment with the Riot Girl bands, and really only the Dead ones are Riot Girls. It's just a regular punk band for the other one. It didn't, like, nothing about it felt like 99. Like, I don't understand why it was set in 1999.
I would say the last one a little bit. I think they should have done more Y2K. They should have done more New Year's. We're heading to the year 2000.
Yeah.
They should have celebrated like that. This is very purely pre 9/11. There could have been some stuff there. I know what you're saying.
Because like 94 felt like it was in the middle of the 90s.
Well, here's again, this is the part that makes me feel old. What makes it 99 is that they dressed up like it's 1999. And that's
sort of?
Yeah, well, the like Frosted Tips, Limp Biscuit talk. The makeup is very 99 in like the sorority girls. And so this is what I mean where it's like we're old, where it's, remember horror movies that took place in the 70s, there's probably cases where you could say, why does this take place in the 70s? Why does it need to? Mm-hmm. And a lot, like it's horror retro. It just makes it more horror when it's retro. And that's what made me feel so fucking old. Where, like, the question, why is this in 99? It's in 99 because young people can look at it and go, oh, look at that. Look at these old fucks.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's very it's very telling that I didn't notice most of the wardrobe was supposed to be from 20 years ago. It's like, I still just dress like this.
Yeah, exactly. It's a real, like I said, this is a real bummer for us.
Yeah.
But it's also like, I think a lot of the reason the VHSs are going to keep being older is because they're called VHS.
That's true.
That's the other part of it is like you kind of only have a short window to make a VHS.
I heard a rumor. I have no idea how accurate this is, but I heard a rumor that the next one is going to be 85.
Oh shit!
But no idea if that's accurate. I can't even. I think I just osmosed it from social media chatter.
Right.
I don't remember where I picked that up, so don't put any. Take that with the hugest grain of salt.
Yeah, but I do agree. So, okay, I agree and disagree, actually, about it being... Because here's the thing, is you look at VHS 95, you have that news anchor one, and that just feels very 90s, right?
Yeah.
You have the white supremacists, which feels very all the time, I guess.
Well, yeah, but that was... They were specifically, like, post-McVeigh. Oh,
they were doing... Yeah, exactly. But then you have, like, the funeral home. That could take place anytime, right?
I think the main thing with the funeral home is that she doesn't have a cell phone.
Yes. And what I'm getting to is Ozzy's Dungeon, for example, is a parody of game shows
from the 90s.
From the 90s. So that is of its time. You know what I mean?
That's something else I did want to point out to you. Sorry, I just smacked my mic, so apologies to future Dave editing this.
I'm not going to do anything about that.
I'm pretty sure I read that Flying Lotus has done a lot of stuff with Adult Swim.
Oh, that checks out.
Which fucking checks out. Because that Ozzy's Dungeon is the most Adult Swim thing I've ever seen in a horror anthology movie.
Yep. But, yeah, it is. It's, and we'll get to it. We'll get to the individual ones. But Ozzy's Dungeon is of its time. It's a commentary on, like, Nickelodeon.
Yeah, like Double Dare, Guts, the Legends of the Hidden Temple. Yeah.
The Gawkers is very much American Pie. Mm-hmm. Which is of the late 90s.
That's true. That's very true. It is.
Yeah.
They literally do American Pie in that. They do the thing where they hook up the webcam to spy on their neighbor.
Exactly. Yeah. Shredding is the punk scene, which I would argue is a little timeless because punks kind of it's in the same era all the time. But
it did have a massive resurgence in popularity in 1999 because it did.
And they do the pop punk band stuff. And the the Riot Girl band, me and Hannah were watching, we're both like, this is good, right? This band is good.
No, the songs were good. Like, I was enjoying the music.
Yeah, I hope they weren't mocking us. To Hell and Back is Y2K. It's so like, and Suicide Bid is the only one that's not of its time. It could have been done. Like it's again, it's more like the funeral home one. Mm-hmm. So I would argue that it is trying to be of its time.
That's true. That's a you make a really good case. I retract that statement. They all do tie in, yeah.
But yeah, we should go through each one because they all do take a little too long, except for the last one. They all take a little too long to get to the thing.
I fucking love that one.
So
I want to give those two. What are the names? Joseph and
Vanessa.
Vanessa Wint. I want to give them all of the money to keep making movies.
All of the money. All of the money. Also, what's her name in it? Who plays
the actress? Yeah, she plays a demon lady in this one, and then she plays the Deadite in Deadstream.
She's going places.
Fucking awesome.
She's essentially
so
just Gollum in this, but
she's just Gollum.
She's a beautiful Gollum.
I had that thought the whole time. I was like, oh, she's just fucking Gollum.
Yeah, she really, really is. And it's so good. It's so fucking good.
We'll get to that one. I just had to say that up front. I fucking loved that one as much as I can love a piece of media. I was so fucking happy with that one. All right.
Mabel is the name of the character. Her name is Melanie Stone. Melanie Stone. And she needs to be in all the movies.
Yeah, she's great.
And these directors need to make all the movies.
Yes. That's it, period.
Okay.
We've solved movies for the next 15 years. All right.
So shredding starts with like a CKY group, right?
Yeah,
That's the idea.
They're CKY Jackass kids, yeah.
And
although 99 is a year before Jackass. Jackass was 2000.
Right. But was CKY around this?
Yeah, CKY was like 96, I think. So yeah.
But they're like a worse one because they don't do anything that extreme. And
no, they're really
breaking.
They're really just extreme dipshits.
Yes, they're just annoying.
Yeah,
annoying
they're
teens.
really annoying. Couldn't wait for them to die, except for the drummer.
Yeah.
The drummer was all right.
Yeah, yeah. And they're all like pop punky. They're again, it's so you could argue this is about the popularity of punk at the time and how superficial it was, and you could argue that they represent the superficial version. And the Riot Girl band is like the real deal.
They're the real version. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so the idea is that they go to this venue that a Riot Girl band called Bitch Cat, I believe, great fucking name, died at. They were trampled to death and burned to death in a fire.
Yeah, fire broke out. And I texted you, I have played those shows. Like,
yeah, the fire hazard shows.
Yeah, where it's like the second floor of a strip club.
Yep.
There's like standing room for maybe 30 people and you have 60 in there and you're playing a fucking show and the only exit is a narrow ass staircase down one flight to the outside. Yep. And you know what happened to that venue, Dave?
Burnt the fuck down.
It shut down. Can you guess why? Because it caught fire.
Yeah. Yeah, that's yeah. I love those shows. The church basement shows were always fun.
The deli shows.
Yeah, where you can feel the floor dipping.
Yeah.
And you know, like this floor could collapse. Like there's too many people and they're all pogoing and it's like we're trying to collapse.
We're all going to die.
Yeah, it's great. Great stuff. So that's what this venue is. And they spend way too long setting up these people.
They really do. I mean, they're setting the tone too, I think.
Yeah.
For the whole movie, trying to get us into the mindset of being back in 99. For those of us that remember it.
Yeah. And so, yeah, the music, the explaining who this Riot Girl band is. And this one's pretty simple. I would argue that, like, this one lives and dies by the aesthetic, which I think they nailed. I think they did a very good job, which is, it's basically they go there, they keep pranking their friend who is superstitious. He bounces. He's like, fuck you all. And then they, of course, get attacked by Zombie Riot Girl band, which looks fucking cool.
I was gonna say this one lives and dies by the very last shot.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is the body parts of the punk band being possessed and puppeted by the undead Riot Girl band
so fucking good.
To play a punk song. It is.
Yeah, I would argue the last 10 minutes of this one is fucking gold.
So good, yeah, so good.
Yeah. It made me feel like at least I was in the right hands. Like, it starts slow, and then when the Riot Girls, it's like punks with skulls coming out of them, and they're all bony and shit, and then they're just attacking them and tearing them apart. It's very simple, but then they all kind of pose for the camera, and it's like it keeps going back and forth from like shots of their actual show, and then them as skeletons and shit. And then, at the end, it's just them playing a set using the fucking limbs and heads. Yeah, it's great.
If you've seen From Dusk Till Dawn and you remember the vampire band playing the body part guitar, that's like what this is.
Yeah, but the instruments aren't the body parts. That's the only difference.
It's the band members themselves are cobbled together because they all get dismembered. Like they just, hence the name Shredded.
Right. Yeah, there's no like story
or
as
shredding.
Much.
Was it shredding or shredding?
Shredding.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a double entendre. You see.
Yeah, this is I would argue a continuing. I don't want to call it a problem with VHS, but a theme that they lean heavily on, which is the fuck around and find out theme. They have so many.
Yeah.
From beginning to end where it's some jackasses being like, we're going to screw with this thing. And someone saying, you better not do that. And then they do it anyway. And then they all die. So like this felt very standard VHS to me. Because it's just, what happens? Oh, this band, they're assholes. And they disrespect this dead punk band. But that said, again, the symbolism of like old punk versus new punk. kind of does it for me. Like, you know, if you know anything about punk, it kind of works. It's just, generally speaking, a very basic story that's done very, very well, I thought.
Yeah. It was fun.
You have any other thoughts on it?
No. Other than I think this one suffers the most from... Well, no, I think maybe this and Ozzy's Dungeon suffer the most from being way too front-loaded. Like, they're the ones where you feel like this is a little too long.
Yeah, I would agree.
But yeah, I do. Yeah, I like this one. It is simple, but it's the kind of idea I would have had. In point of fact, I was writing shorts and filming them for that me and my friends would do around this time. And this is like, you know, the kinds of ideas that I would have had. So it felt authentic to me as well as somebody from like, this scene. Yeah.
The person who made it definitely knew this scene. Yeah. That's for sure.
Yeah, of course.
The next one is Suicide Bid. Now, I have mixed thoughts on Suicide Bid. It might be my least favorite, but I also think it has really fucking good horror beats.
It is a lot of fun. I think the acting is probably the worst in this one.
Yeah, and here's what it is that I almost expect all the VHSs now not to try to be scary and just be fucking wacky. And this is so the idea here is it's a woman, a young lady who's entering a sorority.
Freshman, yeah. She's only pledging for one sorority, so they call that a suicide bid. I don't know if that's what it's actually called, but that's what they're doing. That's the premise here. Yeah.
This is a world that I am not familiar with.
I did not rush a fraternity. I did not do any Greek life in college.
I know people done this, but from my perspective, you're watching it, I'm like, why would you try so hard? These people suck. Why would you try so hard to impress them? But again, I know that this is another world. I mean,
I'm not going to get into it.
I was watching it with Hannah, and she was just like, "Would you be? I would be buried alive to get a show greenlit." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess I would too."
I would do that. Yeah, for sure.
So, like, you put it in that perspective, it's like, okay, yeah, sure. And that's what this is. This is sorority hazing, and they tell this woman about like a fabled dead girl who they did this to. They buried alive, and then when they dug her up, she was gone. And then she still grabs people and takes them to the underworld. And so they do. So they're like, we're going to bury you alive. They give her a camera and they give her a box, and they're like, only open this box if you're really scared. It'll make you feel better.
And they give her a little grave bell to ring. Like,
yeah,
I do want to clarify that, like I said, the acting was bad, and it's really only bad in the first part. Like once
she's under there, she's doing great.
Once the actress is actually in the box, she's killing it. Like she's really selling it and making it believable. And the other girls are just playing generic mean girls, so it's fine.
Yeah. So the idea is that they don't actually bury her. They just cover her with a layer of dirt. Mm-hmm. And she's in there and she's freaking out. So she opens the box to calm down, and it's filled with spiders.
It's filled with tarantulas.
Yeah, and they're just crawling on her. And I was like, oh, bless this actress. It didn't look like it was an effect, you know? It looked like they were probably like, you know what's good and cheap? Spiders.
Actual spiders, yeah. Spiders are cheap. But I think this one is the closest that this particular movie gets to being actually scary.
Yes.
Like there's tension, there's escalation, like the rules that they set up. This is like I think this one is the most effective in terms of being scary. Yeah.
Yeah, after what happens next, I hate it. I was sitting there like, I hate this. I fucking hate it. Because, basically the cops come and the girls run away because they're like, oh shit, it's the cops. And so she's just stuck down there. Because the idea is it's just a prank. They're gonna dig her up
after a couple of minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But they run away and it's raining and muds and water starts sliding into the grave, and you're like, oh, fuck.
Yep.
Because they throw down the camera so the camera can see the grave. The cops are terrible, which I would argue are traditional campus cops.
Yeah.
Are people who go, I don't want to deal with this, and leave.
Yeah.
then it starts getting fucking horrific. She's buried alive. She's in this coffin, and it starts filling with mud and water. And it's just like, oh, I fucking hate this. There's a little window, like, looking up. And that's when shit gets fucking weird. It starts filling up, and then sure enough, this fucking monster face is on the side. It's screaming at her.
A really fun, gnarly, fucking horrific monster, like practical monster. I was really impressed with this one.
It looked so good.
After, like, the beginning was so shaky, so I was like, well, that's not so shaky, but the beginning was shaky, so I was like, well, I don't know about this one, but, like, the beats that they establish and, like, escalate, and then when you get to see the monster, I was like, oh, this one fucking rules. Okay, I'm on board now.
Yeah, that's the thing. When I say this was my least favorite, it's different than saying this is bad. This is quite good.
Yeah.
This is a good short. Again, like, it was downright freaky, and I was like, I want fun. But whatever. It's very good. I would say all of them have another problem, is that none of them really seem to know how to end.
Yeah,
they all kind of just end. Yeah. And this is a big one for that. Like, there's no arcs in these. And I guess you could probably go back and look at the other VHSs and say the same.
Yeah,
but it felt more so in this to me.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Well, yeah, actually, maybe. I think this. I think actually it's only really a problem with the next one. I feel like because this one still establishes. Okay, well, we'll get to it.
Yeah. Yeah, they all sort of have a beginning, middle, and end. They just feel very abrupt.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know if that's actually true. And so, the girls, they show the girls in the morning, and the grave is flooded. And they're all like, oh, fuck. And they check, and the grave is empty. And so then it's a hard cut to them all waking up in their own coffins. And they're all buried alive. They all have cameras, like you said, for no reason. And then they just get attacked by Boogans. That's, again, very creepy looking. Very scary.
Gnarly ass monster. Yeah.
Yeah, and now one of them's obviously the dead girl, and now her new bestie, which is the other dead girl that they warned her about.
Yep.
And then it just sort of ends. They scream, and it ends.
That's true. She says something about, like, I told her that I would, if she let me go, I'd get her even more playmates. So that's like the arc, I guess.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, again, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, but you're right. They do all end very abruptly.
Yeah. The next one is Ozzy's Dungeon, which I love the opening of this, because it's a real, like, what the fuck am I seeing? But I also agree with you that it takes very, very long.
It's too much setup, but I do like it a lot. It's very too many cooks. It's very Cheddar Goblin, which I realized might be the same people, where it's this extreme weird thing. Like we mentioned, I'm pretty sure Flying Lotus has been involved with Adult Swim, but if he hasn't, this feels very Adult Swim, in that it's like over the top and weird and funny, but also, like, the longer it goes on, you start to get this unease that sets in. Like, it's weird, but there's something off. Like, there's something wrong with it. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, and they establish that right away, and I think they did a good job about that, considering then, like, what the reveal becomes, because it takes you through a lot of hoops. Mm-hmm. So is the host named Ozzy?
No, Ozzy's the creature that they go meet at the end.
Okay, who's the host name?
I forget.
I don't know. All I know is God bless him.
He's killing it, yeah.
Stephen Ogg is his name, and he has a lot to do. Oh, I recognize him. He was in The Walking Dead.
Oh, okay.
And he was in Westworld as Rebus.
I got.
Do you know who that is?
Nope.
If you saw him, you would recognize him. He's all over. Wow. So I thought this guy was a no name because of what they make him do, but no, this guy's just a fucking pro.
He does. He takes a lot of abuse in this segment.
So basically, it's like they keep the first red flag is he says no one has beaten the game. And that is a red flag for a game show, right?
Yeah.
And they keep talking about getting your wish. Yeah. And then this little girl is fighting this other kid, and the host is just insulting the kids. Again, it's very like I remember Cracked writing about this era of game shows where it's like you'd watch Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, and they're like, okay, you know a lot about geography. Now move around these heavy fucking posts. And it's like, that's not fair.
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's like game shows of this time were very mean to kids. They would the things they made kids do were like, why would a kid want to do that? That looks exhausting.
They were all obstacle courses, but they would dress them up with different paint coats, basically, or like different themes. And it's just this one, the theme of this one is being eaten and digested by a giant monster.
Yeah, which again is kind of perfect for a parody of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so they're going through this obstacle course, and the little girl snaps her leg, and nobody helps her.
Nope.
And the host is just like, ooh, like,
yep,
like commentary, just like, that's gotta hurt. Meanwhile, the girl's mom is freaking out from the audience,
right,
and everybody's holding her back.
But she's pissed,
yes.
Which I think is important because, like, so with the episode of this show ends, and then it cuts to that mom, and she's like filming with a handheld camera in this recreation of the set of the game show that they've made in some warehouse space or something.
Right.
And they've abducted the host, and they're like, okay, we're going to make you run the obstacle course, basically, because they're not necessarily mad about their daughter's leg getting broken. They're mad that she didn't get to make her wish, and that's important for the way the short ends.
Yeah. So you're sitting there, and again, it's all very off, where you're like, wait, was that just like fun window dressing?
Yeah.
And is this the horror premise?
Yeah.
Because they like that game show seemed really fucked up. And so you realize, like, okay, we're not in the regular world, are we?
Yeah.
We're in a different world. And so she makes the host run this obstacle course in his underwear. And that's where I was saying that this actor's a real trooper, because he is just like going through, I'm sure they gave him lots of breaks and stuff, but he has his hands tied and he's like wiggling through slime and all this stuff. And he has to be like sniveling and like,
it's explicitly human shit.
I know, but like in the filming of it all, it's like, you know,
it's just like wet beans, but like,
yeah. But it's still, again, it's like, it's disgusting. And this mom and the whole family are involved in torturing this man.
Like tasing him and stabbing him and like, making him run this obstacle course.
They're going to pour acid on him.
They're going to pour acid on his leg. Yeah. Cause they show that the girl's leg broke and got infected. They wheel her in there on a wheelchair and her leg looks gnarly as shit.
Yeah. And so again, you feel like this world is off.
Yeah.
Because the family is all into it. Like what the fuck happened to her leg? And so then he's like, I can get you your wish. I can get you your wish. And they show up at the studio and there's armed guards, which again, big red flag. He takes them through the back. They go through and it becomes an actual cave. And they go down and there's Ozzy, which is some sort of creature.
It looks like a really obese mermaid.
Yes.
So it kind of looks like the Marvel Comics character Mojo.
Sure.
If you're familiar with Mojo, listeners. Only prone, not sitting in a cool chair with all TVs around. It's just, it looks like it's like the we already said it. It looks like an obese mermaid. Sorry.
Yeah. And there's like people worshiping it. And so it becomes clear that this is a world that is like some sort of Lovecraftian like hellhole.
Yeah.
Because there's worshipers and there's weird stuff, and they're like, go ahead, honey, make your wish. And she whispers a wish, and the thing just like tendrils start coming out, and a monster tears out of it and starts murdering them.
Kills all the adults.
Yep. And then the last shot is it zooms in on the girl's face, and she's just smiling.
Yep.
So I assume her wish was to kill all the adults.
Kill all the adults, yeah.
Yeah, which is
kill
funny.
The people that were like mean to her, because like when they're wheeling her back into the cave, her mom is ranting about how she's going to wish for $15 million, and like it's all stuff like material stuff for them.
Yeah, it's a game show prize. That's what I liked, is that it wasn't like $1 billion; it was 15 million, and like a new car or something like that.
Yeah. So I think the purpose of the wish was like to punish the people who were mean to her, who didn't really care about her breaking her leg.
It gives us an arc where it's like, no one cares about the little girl is the idea.
Yes.
And then that's it. It ends. And that's a real what the fuck.
Yeah, that was the most puzzling one. Like, after it was all over, I fucking loved it. But as it was unfolding, this was the one that I was, like, the most, like, I'm not sure about this one.
Yeah, this is a real, you're sort of, like, in the dark throughout the whole thing. Grasping, like, where are we going with this?
Yeah, it asks you to take a lot on faith. It's like, all right, just trust us. Stick with this.
Yeah. Believe us, it's gonna be fucking weird.
It is, but I love it. I love it. Like, that's like, because you just mentioned that a lot of them are like stories about people fucking around and finding out. But like, my favorite ones in the VHS series are the ones that are really weird or like really funny. You know, like Ratma or the cult one or the fucking militia guys.
Or the robots.
Or the robots, yes. And then this one is just so weird and so unpredictable. I love it. Just like, love it.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I was a big fan of this. And also, and this is a comment about the next one too, is that, like, we watched VHS Viral recently. One of my issues with that one is almost every single one, if not every single one, is just, it's demons.
Satanism,
and like, it's so uncreative. Yeah. Where you look at the Ratma one and you're like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, Ratma's out of its mind.
Yeah, and this is no different, where they're having fun with the villain. And they do that a lot. The Siren in VHS, like, they did one in VHS that was just straight up serial killers, you know? So the variety is important. That was completely, for the most part, missing from Viral. There's one very good one in Viral. But so the next one is the Gawkers. It's the framing device, and we move out of it, and it's American Pie. These groups of horny teens filming their hot neighbor and violating her privacy.
Yeah.
And this one takes a very long time. I would argue the payoff is fun. I guess it doesn't. You're right. It felt like there's more plant than payoff. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
that's
true. It ends very abruptly, and it's very short, the ending. Because it's mostly them, like, filming her like a pervert. Here's the thing, is because I like this director, and it's funny. Like, that's the one thing I liked about this.
Yeah, it is funny.
The delivery guy, where they're filming dancing, the delivery guy. Yeah. And he thinks he's so cool. Like, he's hitting on her, and they're, like, doing commentary. That's what saves this, is that it's the person who made it knew how to make the characters funny.
Yeah, it's self-aware. And it knows these kids are dipshits, and it knows how to have fun with that premise. They of course, find out the little brother is out there rollerblading, and the neighbor goes and talks to him.
He's got game.
Well, she's just being nice to him.
Because he's a nice guy. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's their definition of having game. They're like, what's your secret? And it's like, you know, talking to women like they're people.
Yeah, it's really like, it did like rip me all the way back to high school, because they're filming him like out there rollerblading. And then the neighbor calls him over and they have a conversation, and she leads him inside and like, oh, your brot's a mad fucking pimp. And that like ripped me back to high school. I was like, oh yeah, this is the dumbass way that we would speak to each other.
Yeah, they did a good job. I really like the part where it's clearly like the end of a conversation where he's just like listing like Limp Bizkit whole. Like, it's just like, yep, we're in 1999. I get it.
Yeah. So he goes over to help her set up her computer and stuff, and like, oh, you gotta install spyware in her webcam, and he doesn't want to do it. But they sort of goad him into doing it. So he does it. And they come back and they're watching her on the camera, and then she fucking turns into Medusa.
Yeah, so the lead up is they keep going like, is she European or something? Why does her house have so many statues around it?
Yeah.
And they're watching on the webcam. She takes off her top, and they're like, score! And then she lets her hair down, so to speak, because she's fucking Medusa.
Right, she rips her scalp off. That's right.
Yeah.
And then fucking snakes come out.
And then she just sees them. She knows they're watching and jumps over to their house, and she Medusas them as a Medusa would.
Yeah. I mean, she just straight up eats one guy, but yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And then she freezes the others.
She turns the two brothers to stone, and the camera is frozen in one of the kids' statue hands, which is a cool idea.
Yeah. It is.
It cuts out from that to the next segment, which I believe is the last segment, and then as
Helen back.
Yep. And then when that segment ends, it cuts back to it, and it's still being held in the statue's hand. And I thought that was fun. Yeah. That's a cool little idea.
I thought that was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked the idea of this. Again, I liked the humor. I liked this one even though it was slow. Because it was, again, very funny. I do wish we had more time with the Medusa stuff. That was very fun.
Right.
And it lasts like 30 seconds or a minute.
It's maybe 2 minutes at most. Yeah. It's a digital effect, so maybe that has something to do with it.
Yeah. But this is another director, after watching this and Tragedy Girls, where I'm like, as a director, they're very good, but as a writer, they're very strong. And so I'm very excited to see this person's career as well. I mean, honestly, all of these people.
Yeah.
I'm excited for their careers. Yeah. But then we get the final one. And if we haven't already hinted, there's a real like winner of this group.
This is
called To Hell and Back.
This might be the best short in any VHS.
Yeah,
it's up. Maybe. It's definitely top 4.
It's interesting because VHS Viral has Benson and Moorhead. That's their names, right?
Yes.
Who I would argue are 2 of the most talented directors to do a VHS. Again, it's hard to quantify that. But they also did one of my least favorite VHS segments.
It was very impressive technically, but
yeah. But it's always hard to tell based on the segments. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But this is the directors of Deadstream. And if you're interested, next we just watched, we'll be talking about Deadstream. So if you haven't seen Deadstream yet, see it.
Yeah.
See Deadstream.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a We Just Watched about it.
It's on Shudder.
It's on Shudder. Because they're very good. Joseph and Vanessa Winter.
Man.
And this is about a group who's summoning a demon, and
they've just hired like 2 wedding videographers to film them.
2 guys. And they
just 2 for hire cameramen. That's it.
Very funny. And then there's like a demon in the room that they don't want. Like they're like, that fucking demon. Get him out of here. So they casually send this other demon to hell and accidentally send the 2 videographers to hell.
With him, yeah.
Yep. And so it is a VHS found footage in hell.
In hell. In the actual hell. Christian hell. And it's so fucking great.
I assume they filmed this at some sort of rock formation, but I don't think it was a set. It's hard to... it could have been a set, but it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
And so it's like, imagine these like really like weird craggy rocks everywhere. It's kind of the Bill and Ted hell.
Yeah, it's pitch black, but the stuff you can see in the foreground is like red light, but you can't see very far into the distance, which is one reason that made me think it was probably a set. But and then every now and then lightning flashes, and when lightning flashes, there is what appears to be Satan, gigantic in the sky, just looking over everything. Night on Bald Mountain, Satan, like you see his silhouette. It's like, oh shit.
It's kind of the creepiest version of Satan.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, this giant Satan overlooking this literal hellscape. And it's just like, guts and demons and weird creatures just scurrying around.
All the weird, like when they see that one little demon and its wings kind of pop out of its back, and then like it just rips up a piece of flesh that just like flops out of its mouth.
Yeah.
That's so good. Damn it.
So good. Yeah, all the demons are just like little fucking boogers.
Goobins. Yeah, they're just these ghouls.
Yeah, they're just like, some of them like are like bug like.
Yeah.
So like they're all like weird. Some of them are golem like. Some of them are humanoid. And they just keep running into them. And the demons are, for the most part, like, they're not peaceful, but they're not like violent. It's just like, don't go near them. You know, it's like wild animals.
They're just like, we get the sense, especially when we meet Mabel, that this is just like a place where people in quotes just live.
Yeah. It's like a fantasy land.
Yeah.
Like, it's like Lord of the Rings,
it's like
where
Mordor.
she's just like, yeah. And that's what I really liked, that idea, because it's like, if you're all in hell, like, it would be exhausting to just constantly be tortured. It's like, it's more of like a general suckiness. And so she is this fucking golem, which we don't know much about her. It's Mabel. Is just like, I'll show you the way. Because what they realize is that at midnight they're going to summon a specific demon, and if they're near that demon, they reckon they can get back home.
Yeah,
which is a very fun. That alone, this could have been an entire film with that premise.
Yeah,
and so this little golem is like, I'll show you the way. Just be sure to write my name in the Book of Witches. She's like really into it. She's like kind of a nerd about it. And so it's just kind of a horror house of them like following this demon, kind of working out their own shit between each other.
Yeah.
Like one of them, they have this brief like character arc where one of them's like, you never stand up for me, basically.
Yeah.
And then she shows them into this cave, and boy, there's like a little peanut demon. He was my favorite.
I loved him. And when he goes back and gets his little dagger.
Yeah, he has a little fucking devil's dagger, and he's just this little peanut, and he just looks wiped out. Like, he just
he just looks exhausted. He's just taking 5.
Yeah, and he's like little snuffly like sounds.
Yeah.
And he takes his little dagger, and they find the demon that's going to be summoned, and they have to fight.
Fucking extreme Evil Dead sequence.
You're right.
Yeah, when he looks at his hand with a knife in it and like hulks up. And just starts stabbing everything, and blood is shooting all over the place. And then when he saves his friend, and his friend kills the other demon with a spear, and it's just the camera's on this guy, and he's just getting jets of blood sprayed into his face. Like this whole when they hew their way through some demons, it is just pure Evil Dead.
Yes,
which is because what Deadstream is too. So
yeah, they love it. And then poor Mabel gets killed as well, and her last words are like, "Put my name in the Book of Witches."
Yeah. She gets speared by like not Satan, but like a guy who's
some sort of demon.
Yeah, a guy who's clearly like winged and has horns and a pitchfork. So it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. She's something else.
It's like one of Satan's gophers.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one of Satan's PAs.
Satan flicked it at her.
Yeah.
Like, and so then he saves his friend. They grasp onto the demon, and they get thrust. One of them gets thrust into the sacrificial body.
They get sucked in through the demon's stomach opens, and it's like this weird Lovecraftian mouth, but also like there's space inside there, and they get sucked into his stomach. The Joseph Winter, the Deadstream guy, ends up in the host body of the woman, and then the other guy's just down on the floor. Yeah. It's really cool. It's such a cool. It's a well executed effect, and it's also just a cool conceptually.
Yes, it is really cool.
It was just a cool idea. Yeah.
We're definitely not doing this justice because the visuals are amazing.
This is so
and the
good.
filmmaking is amazing. It's just so good.
It's the most technically impressive one, I think, of the ones that I've watched.
Absolutely. Yeah, because when we say they go through hell and it's like a little horror house, basically the idea is they have 8 minutes, and those 8 minutes are a blast of them going through hell.
They're walking through hell, and you're seeing it, and it's cool as shit.
Yeah. Yeah, and the demons are awesome, and the
demons are so great.
Yeah. And it's so hard to describe it. You just have to see it.
You just gotta watch it. Yeah, you gotta watch it.
And then they and then they both die, and as he's dying, he writes Mabel's name in the book, and I thought that was adorable. Yeah. Like I love the little story they gave it too.
Yeah.
And the name being Mabel. Yeah. Mabel the demon.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah. And then that's the movie. That's the entire movie.
It ends. Yeah, it cuts back to the camera in the little stone boy's hand, and then credits roll. Bing bang boom. We got a VHS.
Yep. This is it's the VHS series. It's so hard. Like I think man wasn't meant to rank these.
No,
because I really like 2.
Yeah,
I really
great.
like 94. I the more I think about this one, like this Deadstream guy, these directors. Like, fuck, man, this is so good.
Yeah,
it puts this on the map.
Yeah, that last segment is incredible. It's so good. It's so good. Yeah, we're not doing it justice by talking about it. You just got to watch it. It's so good.
I think the issue with trying to rank VHSs is what you actually want to rank are the segments. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. Accurate.
If I were writing like listicles for the internet, I would definitely do a best VHS segments list. I'm sure there's one out there. Because like, yeah, they're good across the board. Every single VHS movie has at least one segment that I like, you know?
Yeah. I think VHS 94 might be the best overall in terms of the quality of each segment.
That's the thing, is the only way to judge the movies is to judge what has the most good segments. And
what has the most bangers? And I think that's 94.
I think it's 94, and then I think I would still give it to 2. It's hard because I do think this has some really fucking solid segments. But I think I would give it to 2 next. And then this and VHS 1. Man, it's hard because VHS 1 is, of course, the first VHS.
Yeah.
But I would also argue that they didn't quite know what they were making yet.
Yep. I think that's true.
Yeah.
I think this one is more interesting than 1.
Okay.
It's definitely more fun to watch.
So 90, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Would your ranking be 94? VHS 2?
Yes.
Then VHS 99?
Yes.
Then VHS, and then VHS Viral.
Nailed it.
That's mine too. These, I can't wait for more.
I know. I'm so excited. Just keep making these. Make one of these every other year. I don't care.
Yeah.
Shove them into my face.
Yeah. Like a found footage anthology. I would have never thought that's something that I'd be into 10 years ago.
Well, found footage has gotten so cool. Because at first it used to be this cheap shortcut and they were all really terrible. But like, they've like with this and like Unfriended, like and then by extension for Unfriended, Searching, the John Cho one.
Right, we talked about this.
Yeah, that's true. We did. Yeah, that's true.
When we talked about those, is that I think what it is about found footage and I don't know what to call those yet. The ones that's just your screen, is that it goes back to Blair Witch Project, which is the thing about found footage is that it actually forces the filmmaker to tell a good story if they want to make a good one, right? Because it's you can't really do it's actually more character and story based than it, or like that's not necessarily, I guess. It's tough to
I think it forces you to think about traditional or even in some cases rote horror stories from a completely different angle, and then you have to say, okay, how do I execute this from a totally different standpoint, like a POV standpoint? How do I execute that in an interesting way? I think the format, I think it allows for more creativity because it's so new and also because it's so specific.
Right. I guess, yeah, I'm thinking of the minimalist format more than the VHS, because these VHSs are clearly like barely found footage at times, and that's more of like, we're going to have a blast, right? They also force to tell, you know what, the other interesting thing about VHS or about found footage is that most of them are forced to tell a story linearly. They can get away with ways not to. For example, a really interesting example is Cloverfield. They recorded over a tape, and we keep seeing the old tape, and they use that to make flashbacks. Very smart use of found footage, right?
It's sort of like limiting yourself in order, and of course you can, like the worst found footage movies all do the same thing, right? It's all just based on surprise. It's based on the fact that you're stuck to one point of view, so you can't see what's around you. Like you have no, so like something like the most recent Paranormal Activity, that's a piece of shit. But like when you take away a lot of tools from genuinely creative, talented people, you're going to get something pretty special out of it. And I think that's what found footage can be. And that's cool. Yeah.
Is that it can, if a really creative person uses it as a limitation, you haven't seen We're All Going to the World's Fair yet.
Right.
That's a very interesting found footage. You should watch that. It's not what you think it is. It's a very slow movie, but it's very good. Yeah, it's just there's some really fucking obviously Lake Mungo, like where, and that's more documentary.
Yeah, but still it kind of found footage. Yeah,
yeah, and some of the creepiest modern films coming out have been found footage. It's I don't know. I'm happy for it. I'm happy for the genre.
Yeah, it's a real unexpected development for me anyway. Yeah.
It's weird that it's only horror. Like, I think you could make a drama found footage easily. Right?
Yeah, for sure. I think you could expand it to any genre.
Yeah. It's weird that we don't do that, but whatever.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think maybe I don't know. Yeah. I was going to say I think maybe it lends itself more to horror, but I don't know that's necessarily true.
Yeah, I think comedy, you could do comedy this way.
Mm-hmm.
Because horror and comedy are very much similar in that it's like...
They're all built on surprise.
Yeah, exactly. Any other thoughts on VHS 99?
No, this movie fucks. I know I began by saying it was just okay, but the more we've talked about it, the more I realize that this movie does kind of wall-to-wall fuck, so...
It does. It's probably going to be more fun the second viewing.
Yes.
Because it does have some slow moments.
Yes.
It's a little slower.
It's a little too long, yeah.
Yeah, it could have been shorter.
Mm-hmm.
But generally speaking, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Yeah. Check it out. You should have already watched it, honestly.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
We've sort of ruined it for you if you haven't watched it already.
Yeah, we really have. Listen, folks, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
We have a Patreon. Patreon.com.
Ooh, tell me more about that.
/Gamefully Unemployed. GAMEFULLY Unemployed. On there we have we do custom We Just Watched episodes and custom podcasts, but we also, for just $5 a month, gets you access to a bunch of exclusive podcasts like Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and Spiel Boys. Those are all on there. We watch movies with our patrons every Friday night. There is no fucking way we won't watch this.
Oh yeah, we'll probably watch this week.
Yeah, we'll watch this soon.
Yeah.
So check it out.
Yeah. We also have a store. Go to TeePublic. Wait a minute. No, that's not right. Go to GamefullyUnemployed.com where you can find a link to our Teespring store.
Yeah.
Where we have all kinds of cool original artwork and designs you can get on t-shirts, mugs, stickers, posters, all sorts of things. So check that out.
Check it out.
Slap your little Y2K peepers on that.
Oh, yeah. God, look out for that Y2Ks.
Look out for them Y2Ks, man. They'll get you.
Yeah.
When you're not looking.
They will.